Namaste, hello, greetings my friends, this is Wolfgang with my healing circle, and today we will be talking about how to use a pendulum. But first of all, I like to ask the angels and the divinities that everything that is being taught here is going to be used for the highest good in divine harmony with the most benevolent outcomes. Amen. So, as a strategy, the using a pendulum is one of the tools of ascension, and the long-term strategy is to remove conditionings, patterns, or karma so that we can love more. And of course, love is an energy that comes from the Creator and that is experienced through the heart, that has its own intelligence, and that is very nourishing and beautifies everything it touches, and it will travel through time. It is eternal in its effect. But there's also another very wonderful definition. I got this from Ra, the Law of One, which is freely available on the internet nowadays. And that definition given there is there's basically two attitudes that we can have. There is a service to self, basically known as selfishness, egoism, and there is service to other self, which is everybody around us. And let's say if you have a sandwich and there is somebody as hungry as you, and you keep most of the sandwich for yourself, that would be, then you're more polarized towards service to self. But as soon as you start giving 51% of the sandwich, so a little bit more than half, to the other person, then you're qualified for service to other self. You're qualified actually to make it into the fourth or fifth dimension and into the higher dimension. And with fourth dimension, I don't mean time. I mean just a higher vibration. And this is what ascension is all about, to move into the higher vibration. And the use of a pendulum is just one step of getting in touch with your inner knowing, with the teacher or guru within, with your inner guidance, to help you understand things, issues that are hidden in your subconscious, that are not clear to you mentally, or things that you normally could not know. The subconscious, or as it is called in psychology and with some New Age healers, the inner child, is actually connected to God, to the divine guidance. And there are many scriptural references to the innocence of the child, that a child will lead them, and of course, so many fairy tales around the world describe stories where those that come with a pure, innocent, childlike heart are allowed into the fairy kingdom and into other mystical states. That the purity and innocence of the heart is the important thing, not the mental prowess or the physical prowess or the money that we have. Ultimately, that is kind of not so important because you cannot take anything with you, and of course many people pay a very high price to achieve material wealth. So on the other hand, I also try to teach you tools so they can you can help yourself. Basically the idea, give a man a fish and you fed him for a day, or teach a man how to fish and he can feed himself, for the rest of his life. And so this is my idea, so that you can start helping yourself. For some issues, it might be of great help to you to understand things, to experience it once or maybe several times, to get the hang of it, and then you can do it yourself. But the idea is basically that I teach you how to fish. So let's get started. A pendulum is well, first of all, anything can be a pendulum. It could be a key on a chain. Here I am having a necklace that I'm wearing. This is a little bit more fancy. Here we're having a Raja on a chain with gems. I have even more fancy pendulums, but I spaced them out, so I like to use this one here. And we also in general use a pendulum chart, and the charts I really like and I use the most is something like this. I have 0% and 100%, and a lot of issues can be very nicely and quickly investigated like that. But there are also other modalities in which you can use a pendulum, and we will get to that later. These charts are freely available on the internet. I've taken my ones off the internet, and there will be available on my website. There will be a link, in the description below the picture, and you're free to download this for yourself. I printed out my ones on some kind of nice parchment paper, and then used some office type sleeves because I use those a lot and they're actually pretty beat up. So let's get further started. One reason that I like to show you about the pendulum is it is quite a simple method. And you can even check out like things like past lives and other traumatic events without going there. I do not recommend people to go into past lives, at least not to explore traumatic events, because it is quite overwhelming, and without the help of somebody else standing guard and give them strength and guidance, it is quite a difficult undertaking. So let's start with the pendulum. Also, another point is about the pendulum. People do not understand how the pendulum is moved. And they try to hold the hand kind of very stiff. So, and then they wonder that the pendulum does not move. The pendulum is basically moved through subtle hand movements from the body. It is not psychokinesis. It is just so subtle that we do not do it on purpose. I do not go around to swing, because then I would influence, the answer to my question. And also another trick is try to stay as detached as possible. And also the higher your consciousness is, or your vibration, probably the more accurate your results, because the higher the vibration or consciousness, the more we have access to knowledge or to the subconscious, depending on the belief system that you have. I really don't care what type of belief system you have, and you don't have to believe anything I say. We all have a truth meter. Use me as a sounding board, and if you find some ideas good, try them out for yourself and use them yourself. Otherwise, just do something else. It's you have a free choice, and I'm not your daddy, and I'm not your guru. So let's start with oh yeah, something else is you do not always need a pendulum. You can also use kinesiology. Let's say one very easy way is you press your fingers together, and then you ask a yes or no question, and when it's a no, let's say, is drinking drain cleaner good for me? And it's very easy to open. And let's say, is drinking a lemon water good for me? And oh boy, it's very strong. But I find that that's kind of stuff wears out, and if you ask a lot of questions, it's not for me at least. It does not work very good, and plus you do not get percentages. But it is a good thing, when you cannot use a pendulum. Another thing that, let's say, for instance, if I'm in a grocery store and I have a choice between two items, I'm not going to take out a pendulum and start pendulum there. I just, let's say, take two items into my hand, or I just point on them, or then I ask, what is better, left or right? And then whatever pops into my mind, I take that as the answer. And of course, you cannot go wrong much. And if you have doubts, you just re-ask the questions several times, and if you get like left every time out of 3 times, yeah, you have pretty good chances that you pick the better item. Now let's take kind of inventory of the issues in our life, and use a pendulum. If you don't have a pendulum, get one. If you don't have a chart, get one. You can just take a piece of paper and just have a circle and just write 0%, 100%, 50%. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. It's just you just gauge it, and let's just get started. First of all, I asked for the presence, of my high self. I asked for the presence of Archangel Michael to protect me from any psychic manipulation from negative outside forces. I asked for the presence of Jesus Christ, that whatever I do is done with the motives of love. And I asked my spirit guides, which are basically your angelic team, that takes care of the everyday's affairs for you, that guides you, and I call them the guys upstairs. I have a very friendly relationship. Sometimes I'm their guide, and this lifetime they're my guides. So we are all friends here. So I asked them all to guide me, and I start feeling their presence. Now I'm like, my hairs are standing on end, and I cannot consciously influence that. So for me, when my hair stands on end, that means it's happening. This is true. They are here. Everything else, you might just make it up in your mind, wishful thinking or stuff like that. But whenever, for me, my hair stands on end, that means, hey, you're right on. We are here. So first question, let's say, that we want to ask is, what holds us back most in our ascension? Basically, what are our biggest obstacles? And let's say if the highest obstacle would be like 100%, and the least obstacle would be like a 0%. And let's just start with the physical. And okay, so how much is my physical shape a hindrance to my ascension? And just take care, maybe write it down, take note, and let's move to the next one. How much are emotional issue like a hindrance to my ascension, and just note how much it is, and let's investigate further. One of the biggest thing is, of course, broken heart with most people, and see how much that is. So it means 100% would be really messed up, broken heart. You get the idea. And how about anger? Yeah, so and don't be ashamed when you get a lot of anger. We have accumulated frustration over many lifetimes, and if you get a lot of anger, just ask how much is from past lives. See that number, and how much is from this lifetime. Sometimes we have a lot of stuff from past lifetimes, and we're not even aware of it, but it's affecting our life. Then what else about guilt? Oh yeah, guilt is a big killer of spirituality. So how much is guilt an obstacle in my ascension? And let me just explain. When people are guilty, they do not feel that they deserve love. They cut themselves off from the love of God, ultimately, and which is a really sad thing. Whenever we make mistakes, this is how we learn. I mean, we don't know the future. We don't know how our actions affect the future. So we just have to, tap around in the dark and try things by trial and error. And when we make a mistake, well, we know, and anybody that has some intelligence will try some other solutions, and that's how we learn. So guilt is an illusion. Guilt is used by the dark side to actually cut us off from the love of God and from the love with all our relations. And I have seen in past lives where the dark side put people into positions where, basically, oh, now you have the choice. Either your whole family dies or gets tortured, or the whole village dies. Basically, it's a lose-lose situation, but you have the choice, and then whatever choice you do, it's wrong, and you feel guilty, and then they got you, and they can access you later on, because guilt kind of creates holes in your force field, and it's just much easier for them to manipulate you. So let's move on to the next. Shame. Shame. Wonderful way to pressure conformity into people. It's the sister of guilt, and I don't want to get into stereotypes here, so let's just see how much is shame an obstacle with me, and we take note. And jealousy is how much is jealousy part of my obstacles. And well, basically we can go through all the sins or any emotion. And how much is fear? Now, fear is a biggie, of course, survival issues and so on. One of the major things that get you moving in this society. All right, and take note. Good. Now let's move on to the mental plane, the area of our thoughts, our concepts, our understanding of life. So let's ask, how much is are distorted concepts an obstacle in our ascension? Having the wrong idea, having the wrong philosophy. All right. Take note. And how much? Well, yeah, that's that's pretty much it about that. How much do we need? Maybe a bigger picture, a wider horizon in our mental understanding and our concept of reality. And if you get 100%, it's time for you to widen your horizons. Look at maybe other religions, other systems of spirituality, maybe Buddhism, if you're too much caught up in guilt, because they don't work with guilt. If you're Catholic, you probably have a lot of guilt in you, and a lot of Baptists work with guilt a lot, and of course Jews are famous for their shaming everybody. So I don't want to offend anybody. It's just I'm trying to help out here. And what do we have then? Oh yeah, then spiritual. Let's go to the spiritual level. Let's say how much is like lack of meditation, an issue that prevents you from ascending. Take note. And maybe how much is lack of spiritual practice. In the Hindus call it sadhana, an obstacle in your ascension. And how much is like wrong practice an obstacle in your ascension. Maybe you practice a certain practice 8 hours a day, and oh yeah, actually you got this down, and maybe you should do something else. So just take note of that. And let's go to another area, karma. Karma is patterns. We are all creatures of habit. Every psychologist, every doctor will tell you that. Brain paths, nerve paths are getting burned in, and cultural even. There are lots of habits there, and many of those patterns come from past lives, and in general it's called karma. But also, there can be patterns set through curses, from yourself, where you curse yourself because, you think you did something wrong, or you hurt somebody, and you curse yourself. I will never be happy, or something like that. Or, other people curse you, you will always be miserable, you never found any real love, stuff like that. And this works. Yeah, I've seen it a lot. And once you release curses, you probably feel a difference the way you feel within seconds. Then, of course, there are also vows. So many of you are light workers, naturally. People that are attracted to what I have to say are generally light workers, Reiki masters, long-time meditators, yogis, people that are very dedicated to their spirituality. So where we are here. So vows. So as light workers, we have probably been light workers in past lives. And if you come from a Western tradition, you probably have been monks or nuns or priests. And if you come from other traditions, you might have been Buddhist monks or yogis. And the vow of poverty is like a big one. And of course, the vow of abstinence is the big one. And of course, we can do all kinds of other vows. I will never do this again, I will never do that again, and that might have been a good idea at that time, but now it's like 500 years later or 1,000 years later, and it's still working, and you're wondering, while you're in poverty, or while you screw up every relationship that you're trying to get into, etc., etc. So you just check out, how much do old vows, curses, now let's just start karma. How much does karma, prevent your ascension? Okay, and let's just go into how much do old vows prevent your ascension. How much do curses prevent your ascension? Okay, then there is a whole nother slew of issues with ghosts. Ghosts are basically ex-humans. This means humans that died, and for some reason, I will not go into detail right now, They have not moved on to the place where they're supposed to be. In Christianity, it's generally called heaven. Um, they are generally cruising around on the lower astral planes, um, close to where humans exist. We are on the physical world, so they're basically astral traveling without being able to go back into a physical body. They have to suck human energy to energize themselves. That's their food, so they deplete you when you have a ghost around, and they can enter into your body and affect you telepathically, and you might not even know that the thoughts that coming into your mind are not from you, that they are from them. And actually also, and they try to manipulate you into doing the stuff that they like to do. Maybe they don't like your wife, or maybe they're like drugs. Lots of junkies out there that died and looking for the fix, and so attaching themselves to people, and then suddenly also they start liking heroin, and it's actually the ghost pushing them to do so. And so let's just ask if ghosts like have a negative effect and are preventing us from ascension. See that? Oh yeah, and another symptoms of ghost, let's say if you around a hospital and you're really wiped out, or you get really angry around a hospital, or other places would be graveyards, and then suddenly you have a new pain, suddenly your right leg is hurting, or suddenly you have a big neck pain. That's a good indication that you picked up a ghost, because it's very easy for them when you lower your vibration, like anger or getting really drunk or intoxicated, stuff like that. So if you got like the if you if you so if you get if you have ghost issues, let's just ask further, do I have any enemy ghosts? That means people that that you hurt in past lives, and they're hurting you now. They did not ascend because they want revenge. Do I have any enemy ghost? And then do I have any lover ghosts? This means people that really loved you in the past, maybe a past life, and they don't want to let go of you, and they're following you around from incarnation to incarnation, and generally they don't like your wife or your lovers, and they can create a lot of havoc. Okay, and then do I have any past life ghosts? This means you in your past lives or parallel lives did not ascend for certain reasons, and so they're following you around too and trying to live their life through you, which is of course a big distraction. And do I have any random ghosts that I just picked up somewhere when I was in surgery, or around the graveyard, or maybe they were living in the house that you're living in now, and whoops, they're in you now. Okay, just notice that. And another thing is, of course, that's a big obstacle is addiction. So let's just see in generally how much are addictions an obstacle in your ascension. Alright, and let's just start with the obvious, food. How much is food addiction an obstacle? And how much is sex addiction? Especially like internet porn. 87% of men supposed to be addicted to internet porn. An obstacle. How much are drugs an obstacle? How much is gaming an obstacle? How much is like adrenaline rush, like extreme sports, an obstacle? And how much is gambling an obstacle? Okay. Then the next issue would be relationship. How much is relationship in general an obstacle in your ascension? And if that is an issue, let's investigate a little further. Wrong relationship. How much is that an obstacle? You know, the wrong husband, the wrong wife, constant agitation, can't constantly something going on, big distraction, to find inner peace and to find your inner truth. All right. Maybe we don't have enough relationship, we just out of fear or because we are very sensitive, a loner, and we should get out more, hang out with other light workers, or other friends, and okay. Then maybe our relationships are too shallow. It's like, how you doing? Fine. And the only thing is, you talk about the weather and, you just follow the safest path, and it's shallow, right? And then how much attachment, maybe some people are so attached, to certain persons, that love that was never returned, and they're just meditate their whole life on that person and how happy they would be if they would be with that person. And that can be a big distraction in your life, and just check on that. Alright, so now this was just a quick overview about different aspects of your life, and I'm quite sure that we skipped some. There's always something that was not considered, so just make up your own questions. And if you have problems in your life, that's especially at this time where the ascension process is speeded up and when there is so much help, any problems you're having right now, big time indication that you gotta that there's something to be worked out, that there is a lot of old garbage there that has to be cleared out. One way of seeing the ascension process is like a house. You are like an old house. Our soul is internal, and we have been through thousands of incarnations, not just on this planet, on other planets, on other dimensions. And so there is a lot of conditioning, there is a lot of trauma that we're still carrying around. These are called samskaras. In the analogy of the house, there would be trashed up furniture, there would be messed up curtains or carpets, there would be rats under the carpet, etc., etc. And so the more we clean out the junk and clean up everything, the nicer the house will feel, and the better we will feel, and the more love we will be able to transmit, etc., etc. So and of course you want to start with the biggest thing to clear out. Now we will step to another portion of how to use the pendulum, and that is how to use a pendulum to clear out. And actually the pendulum is just an indicator, like a gauge that shows us how much we cleared out. We have cleared out. It's quite difficult to feel things of such a nature, and the actual work and principle is our intent, our will, our desire. You can also see it as prayer. Let's say right now there is so much love and attention and help given to us by the angels or by higher dimensional beings. You could say Jesus, you could say God. There are all kinds of levels, and there are all kinds of cultures where names are given to those entities. And they cannot just come and mess with our lives, say, oh, no, we're going to purify this guy, and let's just do this with him and that with him. That would be an infringement on free will. So they need your permission to help you. That would be kind of a prayer, but you yourself, you are part of God. ultimately, not that you are God. I mean, God is infinite and etc. So, but we are part of God. God is aware of all of us, and He's experiencing through uh, all of us simultaneously. So you can actually, when you have that kind of awareness, your intent is very, very powerful. Uh, and of course, in principle, the lower your vibration, the less your intent has power, and that is a good thing. And the higher your vibration, the more powerful your intent be, because the closer you are to that God aspect of yourself. So for me, one of the easiest things to raise my vibration and to come closer to the God, as to my own personal God aspect, is just let's say I ground myself. And in other videos I talk about that extensively. So I just connect with Mother Earth to the breath. I draw her love into my heart. And then I put my tongue up to the palate, and I start breathing in and out the top of my head all the way to the ceiling. That will open me up to my celestial energy centers. And the more you do that, of course, the faster that goes. You clear those pathways. And I focus in my heart, not on the mental plane. That your brain is just a thought generator. Your real power and your real balance is when you're centered in your heart. This is where you have the innocence and the purity of your inner child. Oh God, I'm getting all choked up here. And now, yeah, it's work with the inner child as a way of demonstrating how to work with intent. So first of all, well, let's just again ask with our 100% chart. How much, if 100% in this case would be the best attention that would make the inner child happy and just be the perfect balance. That is 100%. So how much attention are we giving our inner child right now in our lifestyle that we are having? Okay, and with most people that is generally pretty low, and I could do a lot better myself too. And let's say we note that down, and let's say of all the attention that we ideally give our inner child, let's take this as 100%. How much of that should be play? Okay, and note that down. And how much, let's say if you have play, let's just ask, how much would be a hobby, and you probably pretty much know what hobbies you like, and you can just go, hey, inner child, would you like to have this hobby or that hobby? How much would you enjoy a hobby, right? Now, let's ask about dancing. How much would your inner child, that, you dance? Like, crank up the music, have some cool rock and roll or some trance music and just let it rip, do the hip swing, close your eyes and just have fun. Nobody watching you, completely uninhibited, right? It's lots of fun, really good for you. The body loves it, all right? And how about singing? Singing can be done in the car, nobody hears you, and you can just, also let it rip. It doesn't matter whether it's out of tune, as long as you're by yourself. And okay, and you get a number there. And how much clearing of all trauma, how much is that something that would be really good? Oh yeah, so that's a big one, all trauma. Now let's go to a really biggie one, sexual abuse. Some people are not even aware that they have been sexually abused because it happened when they were very young, or it was so traumatic that it was repressed. I once had a client, and she had been in psychotherapy for 1.5 years, paying $75 an hour, and that was about 15 years ago. I guess the price have gone up, and I had her under for 20 minutes, and she realized that she had been sexually abused by her father. She was so amazed and she was so happy. And of course, realizing that you have been abused is not everything. That stuff has to be cleared. Yeah, let's just analyze first. How about not enough love for your inner child? How big was that issue? And how much, getting bullied or hurt. This could be the traditional schoolyard bullying, but some people had very strict parents. Maybe the father was malicious, or the mother was frustrated and let it out on you. That is all bullying. Or maybe your teachers were bad and bullied you through their stuff. And then also, how much is being abandoned an issue, and that also includes maybe getting dumped by girlfriends, or maybe your father died, and you as a child, took it personally. So just check. And okay. And now let's get to the clearing. Probably let's start maybe with the old trauma issue, and what your maybe strongest old trauma is. That could have been sexual abuse, that could have been not enough love, that could have been you got bullied or getting dumped. And let's just take not enough love. And generally that creates like a feeling of loneliness, of not supported by the universe, and it will affect your whole level of love and the way you relate, to other people. And okay, and so we ask the inner child, and we can imagine ourselves like a little boy or little baby, maybe 5 years old, or whatever comes to mind. I mean, just let it flow. It's not really that important. And some people may not see anything at all, or some people may see it as a caricature. And then you ask, please find all trauma, remove all trauma, and clear all trauma. And then you will see, how your pendulum, starts circulating, and it's counterclockwise. At least in my, the way I define my my pendulum. Releasing stuff is counterclockwise. So there is quite a charge there in all trauma, and then it just keeps getting less and less, and then it just goes up and down. Now I will use another formula, and I'm saying please find all obstacles, remove all obstacles, and clear all obstacles for releasing trauma. And see, whoop, there were obstacles. So let's find all, remove and clear all, and continue to finish. And let's make sure this is all for the highest good in divine harmony with the most benevolent outcomes. Because we do not want to have any harsh results. As an example, for instance, like if I would pray to be able to meditate 8 hours a day, And oh well, some higher entity might say, all right, we can arrange that, and you have a car accident and you break your spine and your paraplegic and you lay in bed all day long, and yeah, there you meditating 8 hours a day, and it's not really what you wanted, but that's what you got, and that entity could say, well, that's what you were asking for, and I gave it to you. It's kind of like those genies that fulfill your desires, but then there's always something that we haven't thought about it, and then we get screwed big time. And so to prevent this, basically, I use this formula for the highest good and divine harmony with the most benevolent outcomes. So again, please, inner child, release any trauma you're still carrying from past lifetime as well as this lifetime, and continue to finish. Well, that seems, of course, I have been working on myself. And any obstacles, please find or remove or clear all. And for myself, I'm done here. And for yourself, it's probably still going on. And while this is going on, you might just feel certain physical sensation. There is maybe a tingling, somewhere in your body, maybe, along your spine or on your back, or maybe, around your neck. Suddenly it becomes tingling, or it becomes hot, or it becomes cool. People experience the release of energy in different ways. And anytime you start releasing old trauma, certain energies are being released. And with energy, I mean chi, prana, life force that has been locked up in those traumas. Well, actually, traumata probably would be the right word. And as soon as these are released, you will feel better. You will feel lighter. Maybe your heart will feel lighter, and you become more a vehicle for love. So there is a lot more to talk about. We just scratched the surface. I'm very busy working on more videos. This is the first one where I help people in a practical way, where it's not just theory and understanding, but where we're actually doing things. There will be many more to come. I will basically, the pattern that I was shown in my meditations is that I will talk about a subject so you have an understanding, and then we will be using a pendulum to see how much that applies to you in your life, and then we will use the pendulum and your intent to help release that stuff. There are also other ways of going ahead in clearing, but doing stuff over the internet through YouTube, this seems to be a very, very good method. And for treating yourself, especially if you do not have any money, this is a wonderful thing. But I'm available for help. I work on a love donation basis, and if you want, you can contact me by email. And I love to work over Skype. Actually, energy can be moved over Skype. Wonderful. It's a beautiful technology that can be used, for the highest good. And we should take advantage of this. And as always, I love you, my friends, and be blessed. And I hope I see you next time. And if you feel that somebody else would be benefiting from this information, please feel free to pass this on, and it will be also a blessing for you, because every time you help somebody, you will be helped yourself. And that is maybe also one of the reasons why I'm trying to help at least other people. Namaste.